All right, let's go back to the effeminate weasel himself, the fairy, Glenn Beck.
We don't even understand freedom anymore. We are a country that is headed towards socialism, totalitarianism, beyond your wildest imagination. I have to tell you, I'm doing a story tonight that I wanted to debunk these FEMA camps. I'm tired of hearing. You know about them?
Sure.
I'm tired of hearing. I wanted to debunk them. Well, we've now for several days done research on them. I can't debunk them. And we're going to carry the story tonight.
I don't know anything about him. So
it is our government. If you trust our government, it's fine. If you have any kind of fear that we might be headed towards a totalitarian state, look out, buckle up. There's something going on in our country. They're not FEMA trailers, FEMA prisons, FEMA camps. These are actual prisons that were built under the Bush administration, and they were built specifically for a couple of reasons. One was for a massive influx of illegal immigrants that we would have to jail.
This Glenn Beck guy, I wouldn't even give him the time of day, except he's a big star now on Fox, and a lot of people believe, and he's talking about FEMA concentration camps.
Okay, I just want you to know, this isn't accurate at all. I did mention the internet conspiracy theory of FEMA concentration camps, particularly in relation to a segment in which we are going to debunk internet conspiracy theories. I said on the air the day I snapped. Did anybody hear it?
I told you that I was going to tell you about the FEMA camps or the FEMA prisons today. This is something that I snapped on the air because somebody called me up and said, why don't you talk about the FEMA prisons? And I said, can we just settle the FEMA prison thing? I don't believe in the FEMA prison. If you don't know, I'll tell you about it in a couple of days. I was going to talk about it today, but as I came in and did the show this morning, and then I went into my office and I was looking at all the research that had been compiled, and it wasn't complete. And I am not willing to bring something to you that's half-baked. If these things exist, that's bad, and we will cover it. If they don't exist, it's irresponsible to not debunk this story. We have an independent group on this program looking into it, turning over every stone. I am going to bring you this story. We were working with an independent group to debunk them or to prove them. I also said that on the air over and over and over again. But who listens to context? The one guy that can actually set the record straight here is James Meggs. He's the editor-in-chief of that independent group I was talking about, otherwise known as Popular Mechanics. They did an incredible job in the writing of the definitive debunking of the 9/11 conspiracy that everybody knows now is not true because of Popular Mechanics, except Rosie O'Donnell. James is here now to do the same with the FEMA camps. Okay, let's just start with the easy stuff here. There are, and just want to collapse this as quickly as possible, there are things that, yes, FEMA has a right to have camps and they could do things to help people, and if you wanted to go down the crazy road of, but they could be turned into, they actually could be. But there's like a million other steps that have to happen. One last question. I want to show you, take a look at this picture. Can you put this picture up, please? This is another one, and we're going to have you back tomorrow and just answer yes or no. Is this is what they claim, this is a concentration camp?
Yes, it is.
It is. Are there atrocities going on in that camp?
There's every reason to believe there is.
Is this a government-run concentration camp where atrocities, every reason to believe atrocities are going on?
Yes.
Glenn Beck, you know what's going to happen? Them trying to discredit this is going to make folks look into it now. That's the great part, is they try to discredit us and try to shut us down with these straw man things. All it does is make more people investigate for themselves, and they find out it's worse than we're saying. The elites have said that they want to have a final revolution, that they know the public's going to revolt against them, so that's why they've scientifically set up the surveillance grid, the cashless society. This whole continuity of government system is designed to suppress and control the people of America.
My name is Sam Ozaki. I'm a native-born American citizen, Los Angeles, California. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, we were all rounded up like cattle and placed into America's concentration camps.
In May 2007, President Bush signed the National Security Presidential Directive 51.
Most Americans would agree that it would be prudent to have a plan to provide for the continuity of government. They have such a plan. They introduced a little sketchy public version that's clearly inadequate, but they said, don't worry, there's a detailed classified version.
Army Regulation 210-35. Now, this was set up in 1986 secretly, and for 10 plus years it was secret. And in 1997, Bill Clinton declassified this, and we were the first major radio show to cover it. Since then, it's been expanded. This lists 12 camps to hold American citizens that have been built by the United States Army.
Beginning in October, the Army plans to station an active unit inside the United States.
Under NORTHCOM and under the new Homeland Brigade, it was first going to be 3,000, and then 20,000, and then 40,000.
The 3rd Infantry Division's 1st Brigade Combat Team has spent 35 of the last 60 months in Iraq.
Combat-hardened troops who've been running camps and centers in Iraq are now coming back to the United States to, quote, carry out law enforcement actions.
The Army unit may be called upon to help with civil unrest and crowd control.
The primary purpose of this force is to provide help to people in need in the aftermath of a WMD-like event in the homeland.
Why is the media on one hand saying there are no FEMA camps, but on the other hand, legislation has been introduced to build them? Here's H.R. 645 legalizing what has already been developed, what's already been paid for by FEMA.
The government doesn't build things that are not needed or that there aren't contingency plans that say there's a reason for them. These are the kinds of camps that could be used for political dissidents, just like occurred in Nazi Germany. I think the government's anticipating that there's going to be a increased reaction against the economic downturn.
All of our rights are predicated on a free America. And if we don't have a free America, all of the other questions become moot.
Don't these companies have a responsibility morally if they're in there building camps and building shackles and building barbed wire facing in to speak out?
I talked to the Department of Homeland Security spokespeople, and they affirmed the contract with this KBR, the former Halliburton company, was in place. The Department of Homeland Security was ready to build these contingency as needed detention centers anywhere in the country in the event of any kind of a national emergency, including natural disasters or, again, riots or protests.
The real terrorists are the people that have hijacked our nation that would dare say the First Amendment is terrorism.